strategic move that Eddie is making for AJ? Why are you not thinking, let's get him set up for
kind of animal? If that was years and years and years ago. Like, Clarissa is a way different fighter from when she was back in the
Thanks to those joining me live and to those that will be joining me on our
defenses that she's had to have recently. You know, she's pulled people.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Roundtable about tribalism. I don't think tribalism is necessarily bad. I just don't think it has to be.
I don't know what he think he sees or what he think he know. But he going to the hospital, bro. Like, bro, you not winning that fight.
You guys mentioned, I think, D-Style, you mentioned him versus Regis Program. I'd love, that sounds like a...
I don't need you, you know, and PBC and others, in my opinion, it's like, oh, this is my guy. Like, there's a relationship.
Flat out, it's tough, and we call box, and we go to the end of the round, and then...
That would say, what do you mean by acting black? That's a fair question, but a participant of trash talk knows.
And they're announcing a fight 3-4 months from now, and he ain't going to fight. I bet you anything. He's not going to fight somebody as good as John Whyte.
All right, welcome back. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Roundtable. As always, I have my partner, D-Style Boxing, being joined by Jeff, Hot Boxing Minute, Mario Munguia, and Danny Glover. Let's just jump right into it. The big one this weekend, Teofimo Lopez versus Josh Taylor. Let's break this down, who wins and why, and let's talk about this crazy press conference today. Let's start with you, D-Style.
Ladies and gentlemen, today I learned something, right? I learned that you should aim for death, for that is where life begins. That sounds like some shit a cult member, okay, a cult leader, I'm sorry, will tell his cult members if they want him, if he wants them to finally drink the Kool-Aid, okay, to convince them that they should end their life, because that's really where they're going to go to the afterlife. You know, because that sounds about it, you know, but he's doing it to, I guess, kill him off or whatever. No, I don't know. I don't know about all that. Teofimo is speaking a lot of gibberish. He's putting words together and it's gibberish. And I think Josh Taylor's caught on to it. Most people are catching on to it. Some people are acting like he's Socrates all of a sudden. He's a great philosopher all of a sudden. Teofimo, stick to fighting and leave philosophy to the philosophers. Okay, that's the first message I have. With that said, I'm very excited for this fight, right? A lot of ways we go about this. A lot of things to look at. I'll try to be as quick as I can. Key's a victory for Teofimo. He needs to do something early and make an impact early. He needs to come out and maybe hurt Taylor, catch him with a big shot, preferably drop Taylor or at least make his knees buckle. But at the very least, catch his attention and make Taylor as tentative as possible, right? And that allows your dynamic style, okay, and your hand speed, which I do believe he has a pretty decent advantage in this fight end, to you know, to give you the ability to win some of those early rounds. For Josh Taylor, I do believe that the left to the solar plexus he's gonna bring it out of the holster. I think that's gonna be his money punch in this fight. I like the way he sets it up and lands it. There's some danger in lunging in because he could get caught with a good counter. And Teofimo Lopez is really, really fast, right? And the right hand against the southpaw is always going to be a danger. But I think Taylor's going to be aware of that. I think Taylor's going to grind it out. I think he's going to work the body. I think he's going to work the solar plex. And I think you're going to see Teofimo slowly deteriorate in this fight. I don't know what his dad's going to tell him when Taylor is closing in on him, grinding it, taking his best shots while landing monster shots to the body. He's a better inside fighter. He's a workhorse. He doesn't stop coming. And Teofimo isn't known to be able to hold like Catterall. So I don't even know that's even in the works for him. I expect Josh Taylor to win this fight by late stoppage. I don't think they're going to have adjustments. I think all his dad's going to do is yell and say, come on, what are you doing? You're better than this guy and this, that, and the third. That doesn't mean Teo won't have his moments. He will. He's a dynamic fighter. He'll land something. But I think the lad from the UK is going to win this fight. Go Scotland.
Jeff, I'm not hearing too many people picking Teofimo Lopez, and I'm a little bit surprised because the odds are pretty tight here. Are you going to be that guy?
I'm aiming for death, so no. Unfortunately, man, I like Teofimo, or at least I liked the memory of Teofimo when he was campaigning at lightweight, blowing through guys like, pardon my language, Richard Comey and beating, Vasyl Lomachenko. We got to live in the present, though. And an interesting thing is both of them are coming off bad performances. Obviously, many felt that Jack Catterall should have got the win. And Jack Catterall showed in his latest fight with Darren Foley that wasn't an accident. He really does have a very well-educated jab. That is not something that Teofimo necessarily has, but his jab isn't total slop, but it's not one you would say, oh, he's got a Jack Catterall, Devin Haney type of jab. So that's going to work against him. Josh Taylor's got a very well-educated jab. He's got that good straight left. Teofimo's dedicated to his body work. Teofimo had that last outing against the Spaniard and didn't look too impressive. He got the win, and then we all saw that infamous moment. Do I still got it? Do I still got it? Man, yeah, very unusual to see high-level fighters in the game doubt themselves, because at that level in the game, doubting yourself will end up getting you beat up inside the ring. Teofimo does have great commitment to body work. You saw that in the fight with Lomachenko. Teofimo this is his third fight in 140. Those other two fights, he just did not look impressive to me. And, Josh Taylor, I could chalk it up to maybe his last fight against Catterall was just an off day. And I thought maybe Jack Catterall maybe just had a good day. No, it turns out Jack Catterall is pretty legit. That dude's thorough. I like Catterall. So I don't knock that fight, although I do feel Josh Taylor should have caught the loss. I can see, what D-Style was saying. I think it's going to be very competitive early on in the fight. And I think eventually that mindset of Josh Taylor will just grind down Teofimo, because Josh Taylor is just a nasty, mean, spiteful kind of dude. And I think that when they're able to make those adjustments and Josh Taylor is fighting off that back foot and switching his stances to create angles, even though, we saw Lomachenko try to do it, Teofimo wasn't able to adjust, but we haven't seen, where did he go? We haven't seen that Teofimo in so long. So I'm going to have to go with my gut instinct on this one. I love Teofimo's confidence. It really reminds me of how he was coming into the Lomachenko fight, but my gut instinct is telling me that Josh is going to win this by decision. If not, Pops maybe throw in the towel or something, just too much of a concussive beating, because Josh Taylor isn't so much a power puncher like Teo is, but Josh Taylor has enough pop to keep you honest, and he will just gradually break you down. So I'm leaning in favor of Josh Taylor by decision, if not stoppage, but definitely leaning towards decision.
Okay. Mario, a lot's being said about both guys' prior performances because both guys didn't look great.
Great point.
In your opinion, should we wipe the slate clean and start from scratch here and expect to see the best of each guy? Or are there deficiencies in both guys? And if you really want to break it down, if you believe that, which one is more deficient? And is that going to have an impact on who's going to win come Saturday? What's your opinion?
What an excellent lead-in question. First of all, great to be here with you guys. First time on with Jeff, so nice to meet you. Great lead-in question. I don't know if this was pre-prepared or not or off the top, but this leads in specifically to what I wanted to talk about. And the fact that both men are coming in to this with questions over previous outcomes in their fights and performances. So they both have a chip on their shoulder, right? I think when you lend yourself to the question specifically of which guy do you think coming into this is best prepared to shed those criticisms, I think you have to point at Taylor. What Teofimo has done over the past 6 months, it's like he's trying to convince the world that he's crazy or something. And I'll be honest, at first, I very much thought that he was just a genius at marketing, a genius at promoting fights. And I think that there was a part of him that thought, okay, well, when the Teofimo and Lomachenko fight happened, it happened at a time during the pandemic where it didn't get as much love and respect and admiration as it should have gotten. Yes, us fight fans understood the magnitude of that fight, but the rest of the world was lost. They had primetime ESPN placement throughout the week, primetime weekday shows, right? Dedicated to them. And I don't ever think he felt what he was expecting from that win, the magnitude of it, what Devin Haney's received from beating Lomachenko, and he didn't do it, as clearly as other people think. So when walking into this, judging him based on the fact, look, this is the same Teofimo that 6 months ago said Adrien Broner was looking great and looking like a dog. And then 2 weeks later, he came out for his BLK presser and he was like 40 pounds overweight. He had a beer belly. This is another guy who was talking about how he was like doing better and off of drugs and alcohol. And I do believe that now, and that's great for him. But Teo was clearly capping at that point. He's trying to align himself with Adrien Broner. Do you need any more of a cry for help for Teofimo Lopez? And Jeff said it best. In this game, what most people don't understand, or most casual fans don't understand, is the separation of talent in boxing from the elite level to the greats to the people that are good. It's razor thin. Okay, this is a mental game. I don't want to, say it's like baseball or whatever. It's like, 90% mental and 20% physical or whatever that saying is. But I will say this. At the end of the day, it's the fighter who's usually had the best training camp, who's prepared, and who is mentally capable of focusing on the task of hand. When you have other things outside of the ring, it hinders you. And that's especially true when it's the fighter himself doing the hindering.
Okay. So, Danny, I got to say this. To me, being a big fight fan, this fight has that big time feel to it, right? But I suspect that it's not going to have that same feel for everyone, around the world and even throughout this country, because this is not going to be Garcia versus Davis. And unfortunately, it's a better fight on paper, in my opinion. How are people looking at this fight over in the UK? Because this is a stateside fight between two stateside fighters. Is this getting some buzz over there? And that's part one to the question. And part two, are we reading too much into this mental psyche of Teofimo Lopez? And will this have an impact on the fight?
Okay, well, part one to your question, the hardcores, we're looking forward to it. And the boxing people over here, to us, we're saying, why is that fight even over there? The fight should be over here, because look where it is. Where is it? The Hulu Theater. It's not even in the proper Madison Square Garden. Now, what's the capacity of that place?
I want to say like 5,000 or 6,000 D-style?
Yeah, like 5. Now, if that was over here in Manchester or even Scotland, like Glasgow, Edinburgh, that would definitely do a 15,000 arena. So it'd actually be a better suited fight being over here. So we're just more upset that the fight didn't get over here. But yeah, we're looking forward to this fight because it's a good name. Most of us are picking Josh Taylor to beat him. I have said I think Josh Taylor will stop him because he's too rough and tumble, rough and rugged. He'll be dragging his head down, landing shots to the body round the corner. And when he gets roughing him up, Teofimo, the demons will start creeping in his head. And as the saying goes, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. And I think he will fold. His dad will never pull him out because his dad will be deluded. He'll be thinking, oh, my son slipped if he gets dropped. He'll be thinking, he's probably tripped on his foot or stood on his toe or pushed him if he's got staggered. If the ref's looking in, he'll probably tell the ref, get out my son's face. We're doing fine. So his dad is never going to jump in, Jeff. But what I'll say, I think he'll get stopped. He will get stopped because that was very telling when he said, have I still got it? Like, that's something you were meant to say in the changing rooms or at home to your dad. But for it to burst out of him on broadcast TV in the ring, knowing the cameras are there, I think he's a broken man. And I think that Josh Taylor will, because Teofimo's personality, I think he's been training very well for this. So even though I know that Josh Taylor, he has had some troubles making weight, but I think because he's had a lot of time off, he's going to be refreshed, and I think he's going to put in an excellent performance on this. And the second part to the question, what was the second part? Sorry, Joe?
The mental psyche of Teofimo Lopez, it's being talked about a lot going into this fight, and it's being said to be a big problem for him going into this fight. Do you think it's going to have an impact?
Yeah, well, I kind of mentioned that in
you kind of already said that in your breakdown. So
I think it will.
Okay, so this past week, big news, very surprising news, if I'm going to be honest with you. Oleksandr Usyk signing with Skills Challenge over in Saudi Arabia. And this, to me, looks like a game changer, right? Because Oleksandr Usyk, being the great fighter that he is, even while being champion, even with all the accolades this guy has, he really never had that big-time backing, right? He was always relegated to the B side, right? The narrative with this man was, well, this guy's a great fighter, but he's just not as popular as so-and-so, right? And a lot of times he got the short end of the stick because of it. But now with this big move, in my opinion, I don't think he's going to be getting the short end of the stick anymore. But the big $1 million question is this: with this signing, is it going to help get us any closer to this fight with Tyson Fury? Mr. Munguia, we're going to start with you.
Oh, nice. Okay, well then, does it get us any closer to the fight? No, it does not. It doesn't get us any closer to the fight in the sense that I think we are as close to the fight as we've ever been. This doesn't necessarily change that. What it does is it gives them another chance to accomplish exactly what they already could have accomplished. But the roles reverse, right? So instead of Fury being like, I don't want to say like the lead promoter, that's not really the way it works with the Saudi fights, but it does get it. He was in a position where he was essentially making the offer, right? Now the roles have reversed. To me, that makes it more detrimental because Tyson Fury, say whatever you want, right? He's a great fighter, one of the best heavyweights of all time. I'm sure of it. What I'm also not sure of, though, is that he really is wanting to make specific fights or that he's really wanting to fight the best. I think he's reached to the era where his time in his career where he's trying to make as much money as he can off the biggest fights that he can. And I'm not hating. I just don't think that any of this is lending itself to really making the fight. When Mayweather and Pacquiao were struggling so hard to make the fight, what changed? A dinner brought on by an outsider that allowed these people to have a face-to-face meeting and stop with the side talk, stop with the media shit. But the media shit hasn't stopped, and it's not going to stop. In fact, since that announcement's been made about Skills Challenge, it's been worse. Frank Warren's come out and basically blamed everything on Usyk, right? And he now has a different opinion about the Saudis than he did a month ago, right? None of this is lending itself towards a fight. Now, here's the one thing I will say, and this is why I said that I think we're as close as we ever were. There was real talk. I know it sounded crazy, but there was real talk about staging an AJ Wilder Usyk Fury fight. I know everyone here heard that, and I know everyone here thought it was horseshit, right? I don't know if it's horseshit. These people have serious money, and I don't know if there is a price they could put on it that wouldn't get accepted. So ultimately, I think we are where we should have been a couple months ago, but the green light has been given now. Will it play out well? I don't know. The last thing I'll say is I really hate how the Saudis have just hijacked heavyweight boxing in this era. It sucks.
Okay. Danny, I got a couple interesting questions for you because I always like this UK perspective, and that's why I always love bringing you on, right? I always appreciate you coming on. So a lot of people over here are just looking at Fury and they're just not believing him anymore. They're blaming him for this fight not happening. But all along, it's been said that, everyone's just waiting for the Saudi money, right? Frank's kind of come out now, did some damage control for Fury, and just, really highlighting the fact that Usyk signed with Skills Challenge, and it pretty much tells you what the whole plan was all along. What is the perception over there in the UK? Do you guys feel confident over there that this fight will happen in December? And is Tyson Fury the one to blame in a lot of people's eyes over there back home?
Will the fight happen in December? I'm not sure. We hope so, but what is Frank Warren's tried to do damage control, but in that, when you get a bit old and a bit senile, you see, the thing when you tell lies is you have to remember them. This is how a lot of men get caught in relationships. But what it is, Frank Warren did an interview and he said on record, he said that the Usyk's team, they offered Fury and Frank the fight from last year, January. And I think the money was right and everything, but then they turned it down and said they was going to go for the Derek Chisora fight. And then they said, okay, well, if you take the Derek Chisora fight, then we'll do the fight this April this year, just gone. So then the interviewer said, okay, so why didn't the fight happen? Then he goes, oh, well, there was no offer made. But then everyone was confused, like, hold on, you just said there was 2 offers. So it is Fury's fault. And with the fans, I think the jig is up. Whereas before we believe, well, not me, but a lot of the fans, they'd hang on to every word Fury says. They'd go with the whole narrative that Usyk's, greedy because he's not a household name. He's a road warrior. But now when people are seeing, hold on, it's you flaking on all these deals. And now it's like you're moaning because now Usyk signed with the Saudis. Now the jig is up with Fury. So now everyone's not even taking him serious, because then he was saying he wants to fight Francis Ngannou. Then he wants to fight, Dempsey McKean. Then he was going to fight some other joker. So it's like, no, you're not really trying to fight. So that's why we're not really too sure if he's even going to take the Usyk fight in December now, because yeah. But I think Frank Warren said something about 150 mil that they'll be happy with. But we've heard Tyson Fury say something about $500 million. So it's like, we don't know what to really make of it. But we're not happy with Fury. It's Fury's fault, basically. It's Fury's fault.
So Fury's getting no support. He's not the victim, like Mauricio Suleiman said. No one's buying that whatsoever over there.
No, he's lost all support from the Brits now. Even the Furyites, like the diehard Furyites, have seen through him now.
Yeah, I got 2 Tyson Fury T-shirts in the closet right now, and I'm really considering using them to clean my furniture with now. At this point, I'm not very happy right now. If I don't get this fight,
best, he's still one of the best.
Well, he's the best of all time, but he's got to fight the fights.
Yeah, no, you're right.
He's got to fight the fights. D-Style, you've had your love-hate relationship with Tyson Fury over the years. Does this make you change your mind about Tyson Fury? Is this all his fault? And what does this deal with Skills Challenge mean for this fight?
So sometimes things aren't anybody's fault. Like, things just fall in place the way they fall in place, right? A couple of things. No, Mario is not right. Like, he literally said Fury's the best of all time, and then you're like, oh, you're right, absolutely. Well, what are you doing, Mario? Like you got to be on your P's and Q's at all times. Like, you can't just agree to everything. You know what I mean? Now he's going to get a clip of it, and Mario agrees that Tyson Fury is the greatest of all time.
I'm clickbaiting the shit out of that. I am. That's going on the shorts.
But anyway, look.
Get him, D-Style.
Fuck.
Look.
I fucked up.
I've always said this. I've said, even the most patient person in the world can only take disrespect for so long, right? All these things that Fury's doing, that I believe he's doing, like playing a character, trying to be the heel, maybe he spent too much time in the WWE, I don't know, like all that stuff. There's cultures outside of the U.S. and Western culture anyway that don't really understand this pro wrestling shit, and even their pro wrestling is different. Like in Japan, their pro wrestling is different than our pro wrestling. Like cultures are different. Like so to Usyk, you could just look at it like, I don't know if you're just playing a character or what, but like you're not gonna talk to me that way anymore, right? Like I think Usyk always understood he was the B-side. You don't have to throw it in his face and smother it and remind him that he's from Ukraine, a country getting bombed right now, and he's a foreigner. And like you don't have to keep rubbing it in that you're not from the UK or the US, ha. So you're not a big name, ha. Your fighters need to fight like a bunch of foreigners. Well, that's not very nice, right? And you could say, well, yeah, he just painted a caricature. Tyson Fury is doing his best, rest in peace, Iron Sheik impersonation, being the heel, you know what I mean? And really, going for the jugular to sell this fight. He'll be the bad guy. Everyone's going to want to see me lose. He's going to be the hero, and that's going to help us sell this fight, right? Maybe that's what Tyson Fury is doing. But Usyk doesn't need to accept that if that is what Tyson Fury is doing, right? And we don't even know that's what he's doing, right? He could just be a fucking asshole by nature. And he could be using this whole thing as a crutch for all we know, right? So at the end of the day, sometimes things change in life, right? The chessboard looks a lot different sometimes when certain pieces are moved. And you having the advantage at one point changes. The bully pulpit is no longer the bully pulpit. Because now a dude with a lot of money disagrees with you, Tyson. And he's saying, you know what? I like the honor in this man. I like the type of person he is. I think he's worth whatever you think he's not worth, Fury. I'm going to pay him. So now the bully pulpit has no control over anything. And none of this at all. Because I see some people in the chat, Usyk can't be Fury. This has nothing to do with who would win the fight. That's a different story. That's a different topic. Like, point blank, period. This is about Tyson Fury's ego, in my opinion. Tyson Fury wants to bully this guy around, of course, in the ring, but he always does that in the ring. I'm talking about outside of the ring. He wants to force him to take 30%. He wants to remind him constantly that you're from Ukraine. You're from the East. You're not from the West. Like, that's what he's doing. But now the tables have turned. Now he's got the financial backing. You don't got to worry about it, right? Like, don't worry about it is a perfect answer to and a perfect rebuttal to everything Tyson Fury has to say. But nobody knows who he is. Don't worry about it. But he's not worth that amount of money. Don't worry about it. But he's got gap teeth. Don't worry about it, right? Don't worry about it. The Saudis got it, right? Don't worry. Well, what is he going to make? Don't worry about it. Just take your offer, Fury. Because you getting the lion's share in England at this point is not as much as they're going to give you 50-50 in Saudi Arabia. It's not. The tables have turned, right? And you don't call the shots. The people with the money call the shots, right? The people that offer the most money call the shots. And you're saying he's not worth that money. Don't worry about it, right? So then when people say you can't have the World Cup in Qatar, they're not a soccer nation or football, sorry, right? But guess what? Don't worry about it. They got the money, all right? So Tyson Fury, don't worry about it, right? I think this makes the fight more likely to happen because now it should be easier to make now, right? For all the guys saying that it's a piece of cake for Fury, okay, then it's the fight. If it's such a piece of cake, if it's so easy, don't worry about it. That's all I got.
Jeff, are the tables turned? Is Tyson Fury's back up against the wall now? Did Usyk pick up some leverage here?
Oh, absolutely. I've mentioned this before in the past on your platform that I'm done defending Tyson Fury, and I've got the receipts. I've spent years defending Tyson Fury, especially when the Glovegate stuff popped off. I was like, man, hush your mouth. Tyson Fury's doing all right. He's the picture of, mental health and rebounding from falling down flat on your face. And, I'm giving my money to charity. And over time, which is the ultimate ether for, super cut crack, you want to get that to that pure, time is revealed who's telling the truth, who's not. And I've never seen anyone I've never seen anybody in this game destroy their public good faith in the way Tyson Fury has, just from not actually fighting and his words not matching up with his actions. I'm pretty sure no money got donated to charity. Does this change the tables? Yes. It reminds me, as soon as the announcement got made that they signed with Skill Challenge Promotions, it reminded me of the Princess Bride and that little Sicilian dude, Vizzini. He's like, never get involved in the land war in Asia and, never go to the death with a Sicilian. Well, the tables are turned now. Now it's never any fun when the rabbit has the gun. So he played his hand with Usyk, and maybe this was all part of Tyson Fury's ultimate master plan, just to try to squeeze the most money he could out of this moment. 70-30, I believe, was the offer, 80-20, take it or leave it, which is unreal considering that Oleksandr Usyk is the unified champion. Definitely it gives the leverage now to Oleksandr Usyk in his corner because money talks. This is boxing. When push come to shove, everyone puts their egos to the side for the kind of money these Arabs have. The King Khalid, or whatever his name is, you're looking at supposedly up to like a $200 million budget. So I'm fairly confident that Tyson Fury decides to break and get in that fight. And I'm not even sure why he's so hesitant, because in my opinion, I would give Tyson just as good a shot at winning as I would Usyk. It's a good fight between two very skilled and especially big-ass Tyson Fury. But I do believe it does make it more realistic that the fight goes down in December. If I had the money right now, I'd fly out to Poland and catch that stadium fight they're going to have out there with Daniel Dubois, because that looks very fascinating. But yeah, Oleksandr Usyk, he's finally getting his just due after being the road warrior, taking B-side pay and getting shortchanged at every turn. He's finally in a leveraged position and having that kind of financial backing. Oh yeah, that makes all the difference in the world. So I'm more optimistic. Do I think it'll increase the chances of it happening? I don't know. I was already like, hey, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. So I at least I'm more optimistic about the strong possibility of that supposed Saudi super fight with all four of those big top heavyweights. But yeah, hats off to Usyk.
You're muted, Beep.
It's a great segue into the next topic that I want to talk about here is Oleksandr Usyk. It's been finalized now that he's going to be taking on Daniel Dubois August 26th. And big question is, it's been looked at as an afterthought. People are saying Dubois has got no chance, but the guy's big, it's heavyweight boxing, and he can punch. So, yeah, let's get into this one. Does Daniel Dubois have a chance? We'll go right back to you, Jeff.
Slim to nil, in my opinion. I believe if there is somebody that legitimately has a puncher's chance against someone like Usyk, it's Deontay Wilder, just because he's one of the few guys that isn't even firmly planted in his feet that can knock you out. Danny Dubois, as we can see, has kind of trashed leg game. So I can see Usyk kind of just doing what he wants all around him with his footwork. I see Usyk winning that one wide. I'm not impressed with him beating guys like Trevor Bryan or Kevin Lorena. Sorry, I'm just not. He doesn't really move his head very much, as can be seen by Joe Joyce blasting out his eye socket. But I would heavily favor Oleksandr Usyk in that. Again, it is the heavyweight division. These are 200-plus pound guys who have been training their entire adult lives to knock you out. So anything is possible in the heavyweight division, theater of the unexpected, so on and so forth. But oh yeah, that's Usyk's little warm-up fight for the big Saudi oil money in December. But yeah, if I had the money, I would for sure go. I think anybody, a hardcore boxing fan, if given the opportunity, should absolutely travel to a foreign country and check out a stadium fight, if anything, to really comprehend the global nature of this sport of boxing and really how it's not just restricted to America or Las Vegas anymore. It's all over the place. And stadium fights are always fascinating. Poland, I would go if I could.
Was that stadium hold like 40-something thousand people?
45,000.
Jesus, that's a big event. And this is this is going to be sort of like Usyk's homecoming because Poland is right on the border of Ukraine.
That's not the place where AJ did his fight, right?
No.
No,
that's Saudi Arabia.
No. The other one where he fought. It was right. It was during the pandemic. Remember?
He never fought in Poland, brother.
No. That was it. That was in Wembley Arena.
Okay, I'm tripping then.
That was with no crowd. No, that was with no crowd against Pulev.
What you having, Mario?
Pulev. That's what he fought. Pulev. That's what I was thinking. I'm sorry, it wasn't. When things have the word that start with a P, I get them mixed up all the time. So,
all right, stop picking on him, D-Style. Stop picking on him.
Because it rhymes with Pulev.
Yeah.
Stop bullying people here. Stop bullying people here, please.
I'll stop.
Dan is confused because of the American education.
I'm sorry about that, Mario.
Like, oh shit!
I'm sorry about that.
Stupid.
I'm sorry about that, Mario. Listen to get bullied.
You're a hater today, D.
I was just talking about the bully pulpit like a little bit ago. And,
So is this a foregone conclusion, D-Style? Is there any path to victory for Dubois? I mean, because they're talking about December right now. They're looking right past him. Could we get the best version of Usyk?
I'm gonna disagree, but also agree with Jeff. Like,
all right.
His breakdown's on point. Like Usyk is by far the superior boxer. I don't think anybody's questioning that. Better footwork, quicker, better boxer, better angles, everything. Right.
Yeah.
However, does he have a chance? Yes. I think Usyk does get hit. Like, he's not like unhittable either. He's not Pernell Whitaker in there either. You know what I mean? He's got better defense than your average heavyweight for sure. I mean, it's pretty good, but he is hittable, and Dubois can hit. I mean, he's probably the third hardest puncher in his division. If not top 5 easy in the whole division. Name me 5 dudes. Well, you could do it when it's your turn, but name me 5 guys that hit harder than Dubois. Right now, granted, I haven't taken a punch, and I'm not going to volunteer from those guys. Okay, but I think he's up there, right? But here's the thing: he's going to land, and can Usyk take those punches? Usyk is historically a pretty decent sized heavyweight, but in modern day times, he's a small heavyweight, right? So can he take those punches? So do I give Dubois a puncher's chance? Yes. If you ask me to put a percentage, I give him at least like a 10% chance of winning the fight. That's not very high, right? But it's better than nothing. Like, and if 5-10 times, you could land one shot.
That's a Hail Mary.
You could say that. But Hail Marys happen, right? I think I wouldn't sleep on him. He could spoil everything. That's all I'm saying. But I'm still strongly favoring Usyk in the fight.
Danny, name the 5 bigger punchers than Daniel Dubois, if you can.
Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, Dillian Whyte, Gerard Anderson.
Joe Joyce?
Nah. Jalalov.
That's 5.
That's 5, man. Who has Daniel Dubois knocked out, D-Star, man?
Well, who has Jared Anderson knocked out? Like, I mean, he's a sharper puncher. He's a better fighter than Dubois. I'll give you that. But I don't think, like, if they were to hit a machine, I think Dubois' numbers would be higher. It's my opinion.
Oh, sorry, and Zhilei Zhang as well hits harder because Daniel Dubois couldn't move Joe Joyce and Zhang could.
If you're gonna put Zhang on there, how do you not put Joyce on there?
No, because Joe Joyce is he's a grind you down fighter.
No. I'm not saying that he's a single hard puncher, but okay, the way I interpreted the question was like, who is just like heavier handed. Joe Joyce destroyed Dubois with a jab. Like, to me, that's just as impressive or just as much of a showcase of power as just a single punch knockout. Like, it was crazy what he was able to do to him.
No, but I think the question was one hit quitter. One hit.
Is that okay? Then yeah, then I agree with that.
I'll give you Zhang.
Yeah, so I'll give you 6, man. But
Any-
but regarding Daniel Dubois, I think he gets stopped by Usyk. You got to remember he folded under the will of Joe Joyce. He dropped 3 times against a cruiserweight in Kevin Lorena, and 2 of those times he took shelter from those shots, seeked refuge on the floor on the canvas, unfortunately. And I like Daniel Dubois because he's from near me. He even used to box for my old amateur gym when he was a kid. But yeah, I just see Usyk stopping him, and I think this is going to be a great showcase for Usyk in front of a stadium fight, because he was always the homeless fighter. He never had a fight in Poland, kind of Ukraine, like Lomachenko. So he's always had to travel to the UK, USA, Germany, Latvia, wherever to get fights. And it's finally good that he's now got a base. And that's probably one of the reasons what might put Tyson Fury off fighting him, because Tyson Fury likes to have a lot of things, to almost nearly everything stacked in his favor. But yeah, I see Usyk stopping Daniel Dubois in about 5 rounds, mate.
Right.
And it's a good thing. What who is it, Jeff? A good thing you said that. I didn't even think about that. What you're saying about checking out some other countries and seeing how they do things. So that might be a thing for the summer, since my birthday is August the 7th. So it's not far off. Poland's only up the road. It's only about an hour, 20-minute flight. Cheapest bit, about £30 for a flight to Krakow or Warsaw. So I'm gonna have to look into that one. So
that was how it was. That was how it was for me in Guadalajara. Like a TJ is 20 minutes from me, and it costs like $120 round trip to go, an hour and a half, 2-hour flight. And if you can catch a stadium fight in a foreign country, it's a very unique experience for a boxing degenerate to see something of that magnitude.
Yeah, that stadium, if it's that, it'll be the same size as the Guadalajara stadium. You know what I mean? Like, that's around. So just try to picture that. The one thing I've always wondered about, and I know I talked to Joe about this. Why didn't they base Usyk out of Germany? Like the Klitschko's. Germany has a big economy. They obviously supported the Klitschko's a lot. And I've always wondered that. Maybe it was just circumstantial. Maybe the path never got there or something. But I've always wondered about that.
Well, I think the Klitschko's had money coming from Germany early in their career. I think they had a manager early on. I don't think he was their manager at the end, but they had business ties, and people from Germany were helping with the event. So I think that's what it was, because I'll be honest, that's a great point. I mean, both men seem extremely patriotic, and yet there's a huge amount of fans, casual fans during that time, that thought the Klitschko's were from Germany.
Yeah. And they remember they were sponsored by Hugo Boss as well. So that was also helpful. Brand. So,
Germany and Ukraine, they have a very strong relationship. Those two countries.
Yeah.
It's almost like open border. Like, I remember when the conflict first cracked off, I was out there in Germany, and man, you saw Ukrainian refugees everywhere.
Yeah, because you guys remember the entrances for like Klitschko Hay? Like, they had this dramatic entrance. They're the ones that started all that in the stadium.
Oh yeah.
And then so I always wondered, like, and I'm sure there's a good reason for it, but I just don't understand what it is really. But I just think with the endorsement of a Vitaly Klitschko, like, he could probably sell out a damn stadium over there, to be honest.
Yeah. But you have to remember, the main player in Germany is the Sauerland brothers, so he'd probably have to sign with them. So I don't know how he'd feel about that.
Yeah, that's true.
They're the main players in Germany.
That's true. Mario, does Dubois have a shot here, man?
Of course, it's the heavyweight division, and regardless of what is said about abilities at the heavyweight division over the past 2-3 decades, it's the power, it's the size of these men, so of course he has a chance, and he's already a great puncher. So the puncher's chance, I think, plus some is the answer to that. But Usyk right now is and should be considered one of the best pound for pound fighters. I know a lot of people have issues with putting heavyweights on their pound for pound list, but you're talking about a guy who, conquered the lower division, right? And then moved up, and he's in the midst of becoming the most superior fighter in that heavyweight division, the most dangerous division of all. That said, I don't think he beats Usyk. I think that a lot of the issue that I have with Daniel Dubois is that the one, and I know it's unfair because it's like the one fight that he lost, right? And it was at a time where it was really hard to focus on boxing with everything that was going on globally. But that showed me a lot. Like, he just had no answer for something that I feel like at that level you have to have an answer for. Now, I'm not a trainer. I'm not, a guy who can sit here and tell you, well, this is the style he should have adopted, or this is the, adaptation he should have made to his strategy and game plan. All I can say is that he just kept getting hit with the same punch. And I've had trainers, world famous trainers, tell me that, when a guy's getting hit with the same thing repeatedly and has no answer for it, that is the most definitive statement that can be made as to how far they're separated, talent wise, skill wise. Can you overcome the bruteness of a guy like Joe Joyce? Now, Usyk offers the opposite, but he offers tangibles, so many tangibles, that if Dubois has a problem altering his style in a fight based off of one or two aspects of his opponent's game, imagine somebody like Usyk who brings a full deck of cards. So it's tough. It's tough. It's a great fight, though. It is a great fight, and I think it would be a fight worth going and traveling. And if my budget wasn't so tight right now, Jeff, I might just join you.
I have to send it on there, Mario.
There you go. There you go.
Fly you right down there on
all-time Beeb is going to make my dream come true.
Send it on there on the Beeb jet.
There.
All right. So, we've complained a lot about this fighter not taking on tough opposition. But I got to be honest. I think this is a tough fight coming up Saturday for Jaime Munguia, Mario's cousin. I think this is a tough fight for him, Derevyanchenko. A lot of people are saying he's long in the tooth, but I'm going to make a bold statement. I think this is probably going to be his toughest test to date, and I think that Derevyanchenko is very live here. Danny, am I missing anything?
No, you're not missing a trick there. Derevyanchenko is very live, and as we saw when Munguia was in there with Gabriel Rosado, he got hurt a couple of times. There was even a point where the ref jumped in to save him and stopped Gabriel Rosado beating on him. So I was like, oh, what's going on here? If Munguia's not careful, he could come a cropper in this one, because Derevyanchenko is very live, as we've seen in previous fights he's had with guys like Danny Jacobs, Triple G, even the Charlo brother. This is a very good fight. I'll be staying up to watch that one. And I've got Munguia winning on points, though. I do have him win on points. I think his youth will get him through. Derevyanchenko is a couple of years older than before, but he is a live dog. Munguia is still unproven. And on paper, it is his toughest challenge. I can't think of, on paper, who would be his toughest challenge, to be fair. But I think he'll get through it on points. I think he'll get comfortably on points. His work rate will get him through, but he will have some tough moments in there, I believe.
He's a lot bigger too. We saw what Munguia did to the smaller Liam Smith, right? Because Liam Smith is a very well-rounded, skilled boxer, but it just looked like he couldn't do anything with Munguia because his punches just had no effect. He was just so small. But Derevyanchenko's tough. He's a grinder. He's been at this weight. When is this going to be? This is going to be at middleweight. So he's been at this weight for a long time too. So he's not.
Derevyanchenko's not small. He's not small. Remember, you saw he hurt Triple G to the body. He gave Danny Jacobs, hell. He's not a little guy. He ain't no Liam Smith, I'll tell you that much. So
that's a good point too. Yeah, I got you. So Jeff, is this a possible banana peel for Munguia? Is Golden Boy making a mistake here?
No. I think Golden Boy has been very careful bringing along Jaime Munguia, much to the detriment of hardcore boxing fans who want to see him pitted up against the worst of the worst. I've always liked Jaime Munguia. Definitely wasn't too excited about Demetrius Ballard and Jimmy Kelly, but I mean, he had that nice little run at 154. Takeshi Inoue, Liam Smith, and Dennis Hogan are not bad scalps to have. That 160 kind of run has been a bit, we could demand a little more. That fight he had with Gabe Rosado was obviously a candidate for fight of the year, so that was a good match. Sergiy Derevyanchenko, he came off a win his last fight on that garbage Danny Garcia card against Benavidez with the leg missing. And it's going to be a fun one. I think they both are slow starters, and they're both there to get hit. If you don't have to move, they're not going to move unnecessarily. So we should see a lot of center ring action, very few pivoting around. I think Derevyanchenko has, faster hands, but doesn't have as much pop as Jaime Munguia has. Even at 37 years old, Derevyanchenko still has faster hands. I still think he should have got the nod in that Triple G fight. For Jaime Munguia, where he's at in his career, I think anything less than a stoppage or a very, very clear one-sided decision victory, I think he needs to get a stoppage. Otherwise, he'll continue to lose public face with the people. I'll actually be at that event working media, but I think he needs to get a stoppage in order to really establish himself as a force. I think he would do well against Erislandy Loro or even Janibek. Obviously, the big money fight would be him and Jamal Charlo, Mr. Inactive for what is the count now? 750, 760 days? I don't know. Little something around 2 years. But I heavily favor Jaime Munguia just on youth and activity at this point. So I'm leaning on him to get, I think, a late stoppage, to be honest. But Derevyanchenko's a very live dog. I mean, he's been in there with the best. Yeah. Adames, Miracle Man, Danny Jacobs, Triple G. Like his losses were all decisions. Although that loss against Adames, he was getting worked nasty in that one. But yeah, Munguia.
Okay. All right. Mario, I know this is going to be tough for you because your cousin's fighting on Saturday. So you got to try to be objective here. Is your cousin going to get tested this weekend?
Listen, first of all, I'll say that I'm much more comfortable with people saying that Jaime Munguia is my cousin as opposed to, and Beeb, I know you'll remember this, Pablo Munguia, who everybody used to claim was my cousin, and that was not. If you're not familiar with him, look him up for a while. He was a ESPN Friday Night Fights staple. But listen, I absolutely agree with you, Beeb, and the panel that says Derevyanchenko offers up a test, offers up some resistance to Jaime Munguia. Here's the thing I'll say. I think Golden Boy's already made the mistake with Derevyanchenko. Not because I am picking Derevyanchenko. I'm picking Munguia on points. I agree with Danny, I think, is the one who made that prediction. But they made the mistake when Oscar De La Hoya this week tweeted out, Charlo couldn't do it. Golovkin couldn't do it. Watch on Saturday to see if Jaime Munguia can stop him. To put that narrative out there, now Munguia has to come out and do something, because already the narrative is that Jaime Munguia is not fighting the best fights. Jaime Munguia is well past the prime of when he should have been in the ring with a Charlo or a Golovkin or somebody who will absolutely test whether or not he is an elite fighter or at the top level. The thing is this, right? Oscar De La Hoya, this is an important fight because he has two fighters right now, Ryan Garcia and Jaime Munguia, right? And these two guys couldn't be on any different plans because Oscar De La Hoya is using Jaime in the way that promoters have used fighters for generations. Have a guy that has a draw, right? Put him in fights that he can win, build up his name, and then find a position somewhere down the line where you can catch somebody who might be more skilled, but is at a time in their career where they're most vulnerable. Who does that sound like? That sounds like a Jamal Charlo to me, but they're not ready. They're not ready, and De La Hoya knows he can keep making money off of that, as opposed to the Ryan Garcia plan, which if it was up to De La Hoya, he would have had him fight way more people before Tank, right? And then he'd rather have him fight a guy like Pacquiao, who he can lose to and nobody says anything because it's Manny Pacquiao, right? At least casuals. And then on the other side of it, if he beats a Manny Pacquiao, just being in the ring with Manny Pacquiao, first of all, but that's not the route that Ryan wants. He wants the toughest fights out there. That's not what we're seeing from Jaime Munguia. So if De La Hoya can have Jaime Munguia go through this process, stick to the game plan, then he can bring something to Ryan and say, look at what we've done with Jaime. Look at the strategy we used. Look at the game plan. And look how many people talk shit when he eventually does fight Charlo, because Canelo, fucking Mayweather, all the best were at some point in their career told that they were not fighting the best fighters. And today it's just, I mean, yeah, with Benavidez, it's different now, but that narrative doesn't ever survive. It doesn't ever last. So for Oscar De La Hoya to put that narrative on him, that's a problem, right? And the other thing I will bring up real quick, I don't want to start shit or talk shit or anything like this, but I have looked at the ticket sales for this fight, and it seems like a lot are still available. So Jaime maybe needs to get the gas, or De La Hoya needs to hit the gas for him to, you know, get some of those diehard fans that he had reinvested.
Okay. So D-Style, is it worth putting a little bit of beer money on Derevyanchenko this Saturday? You think he's got a shot?
Well, I do think he's I'm not going to say a live dog. He's like a on life support dog. You know, like he's still a dog. You know what I mean? Like he's alive, but I don't know if he's like live. You know what I mean? I just think like here's the thing. The reason I'm not going to count him out, because every time they've set up Jaime Munguia to have his quote unquote coming out party for a long time, right? He had one of the best matchmakers, Roberto Diaz, just guide him, and then they were ready to put him in that, like, okay, this is your breakout performance right here, and then he always like doesn't. Like, he wins the fights, but in some cases, he doesn't really win the fight, right? Like, the fight that will always stick with me with Jaime Munguia is the Dennis Hogan fight, right? When they're booing the decision in Mexico, right, and the people in the crowd are saying that this decision is bullshit, right, and everyone knows you lost that fight, that was supposed to be like a fight where you beat this tough guy. It's a coming out party to a certain degree, and they didn't expect that tough challenge. They just didn't expect it, right? The Gary O'Sullivan fight, he won, but again, he didn't look spectacular in that fight. I feel like Lara looked better against this dude, right? So every time they're ready to step up Munguia, he doesn't lose the fight, but he doesn't win in the way that they set him up to win. And I think that's what's going to happen in this fight. Everyone is expecting Munguia to walk in, beat the shit out of Derevyanchenko, stop him, destroy him. That's my coming out party. What's up? I'm here. And people are talking about who he's going to call out. And we don't even know how he's going to look in this fight. He may win a controversial decision for all we know. Derevyanchenko may be in this fight the way that old dude Barrazas was in a fight with old boy. What's his name again?
Raleigh?
Raleigh, yes. Like you never know, because like Derevyanchenko's not that jodido. He's not that old. You know what I mean? Like he's old, but he's not like. People are acting like Derevyanchenko was like 48 years old, bro. Like, they're acting like the dude's
whoa. There's nothing wrong with being above 48. I mean, I'm 53. I can still bang with the best. What I'm
saying is, though, like they're talking about like he's Tales from the Crypt or some shit. Like, they're talking about the guy, like he just looked terrible in his last fight, like he couldn't move or something. Like, he fought Charlo about 2 years ago, and Charlo won, but Charlo didn't run through him. No one's ever run through this guy. So, yes, the lawyers put it out there, he's going to do what nobody else did. He's going to knock him out. They want this to be the coming out party for him. They put Rosado in the ring with him so you can knock him out. It didn't happen. Like he won, but it wasn't the coming out party. I don't know what they're waiting for. They wanted to have this coming out party performance, and it's. I just don't think it's going to come. I think it's going to have a tough outing. And if people are going to talk about, it's still a work in progress with Eric Morales, he's still improving. We still got this guy in training wheels. Like how do you still have him in training wheels? It's time to unleash the beast. And what I mean by that, just throw him in there with the best, bro. Jaime Munguia is not that dude. He's never going to be the top pound-for-pound fight. I don't care what Oscar says, right? Oscar sees this guy train. He's faking it, bro. He's hitting the pads, and Oscar's like, whoo! And I'm like, well, what are you doing, Oscar? Like he ain't all that. Like, he's not that guy. Like chill out. Ooh, did you see that jab? Marcos Vieira, did you see that? Ooh, like he's hitting the pads, bro. Right? So I just think by muscle memory alone, Derevyanchenko's going to give this guy fits. And I think that's a proper word. He's going to give him fits in this fight. And I don't think Golden Boy's going to be satisfied with the win. I just don't. And then what they're going to do, they're going to take him a couple steps back, keep him busy, and then hope another coming out party happens or some shit. That's what I think is going to happen.
Would they be satisfied with a knockout win, though? Or should they be satisfied with a knockout win?
Well, it depends. I mean, is he losing before the knockout? They want a dominant knockout performance is what they want.
Mm-hmm.
They want another Liam Smith type performance out of it.
Yeah.
Something they could put on the highlight reels.
Yeah, I think they'd be happy. I'd be happy. I'd be surprised if he gets to knock him out because I don't think he can. And what it is, they want him to set the world alight, and he just hasn't done that thus far. Charles Dames couldn't take him out. Triple G couldn't take him out. Danny Jacobs, and all that, they couldn't take him out. So, Munguia ain't taking him out. If he does, that'd be very surprising. But I'd like to see Munguia fight someone like Charles Adames next.
Be a good fight, yeah. Be a good fight. So we got another fight coming up this weekend, and it's on pay-per-view, unfortunately. And I just got to be honest. Adrien Broner, when I look at this guy now, you can just look in this guy's eyes, man. It looks like he looks soulless right now. It looks like there's something missing, right? That passion, that vibrant person that we used to see back in the day, it's gone. And I find myself asking, does this guy fight because he wants to fight, or is he fighting right now because he has to fight? Because he's been out of the ring for a long time. He's had a hard time finding opponents, and now he's gone all the way down to Don King's neck of the woods, and now he's a Don King promoted fighter, something that if you asked me 2 years ago, would you ever fathom that? I'd be like, no. So I just got to ask you guys, to start with you, D-Style, is Adrien Broner, is his heart still in it, or is he just basically fighting right now for the money?
I still remember, isn't it crazy that there was a time where everybody was putting AB on the top 5 pound-for-pound list, and Crawford was nowhere to be found on the pound-for-pound list. And they were both in the same division, right? And AB was the one that they said was the future. AB was the one that they said was the heir apparent to Floyd Mayweather. It's crazy to think that was a thing at one point. But and look at where we are now. I don't know if Adrien, I think he's a fighter by heart. He showed me even in his loss against Maidana, he showed me he's a fighter. Even though he lost that fight, the way he got knocked down early and he came back and Maidana even said that's the hardest he's ever been hit. Broner brought it, right? So we got to give him credit for that. So I think he's a fighter at heart. I don't think he likes to fight. I just don't know if he likes what it takes to get to the fight. Like the dedication, the hard work, the discipline. I don't think he likes that. I think he likes to fight. I just don't think, he's kind of like a James Toney, not as talented, but that's kind of what he is. He doesn't like the hard work that comes with it. So I think he wants to fight. He just doesn't want to put in the work to be a top fighter. And I always felt this way about Adrien Broner. I think he's always been the guy with the built-in excuse in case he loses, so his fan base and even he himself can make the excuse as to why he lost. If I would have taken it serious, I would have won. Right? There's guys like that, and I always felt that's a weakness in fighters. I always felt Areola had that. I think Andy Ruiz has that. They want people to say, but Andy came in out of shape. That's the only reason AJ beat him. If he came in shape, I think he would have won. They want people to say that, right? They always Adrien Broner was always that guy. Like he always wanted, and people would do it. Fans are enablers. All y'all are neighbors out there. Oh, Adrien would have won that fight if he took it serious. Adrien Broner would have won that fight if he let his hands go. Right? They did it with Chavez Jr. too. Right? Oh, Chavez Jr. He's got all the talent, but he just doesn't have the work ethic. If only Adrien Broner put in the work. If only Chavez Jr. put in the work. If only Areola put in the work. If only Andy Ruiz had a six-pack. If only, right? He put down the damn Snicker bar. If only. People they make these excuses for them, but to me, that's a weakness. That means that there is and I don't like to use this word when it comes to fighters, but it is what it is. They have a fear of losing at their best. Okay, that's a weakness to me. I think fighters that put it on the line and come out and give it their best and they fall short, I'll always admire those fighters, win, lose, or draw, because they don't leave anything, no stone left unturned, and it is what it is. And to me, that's what Adrien Broner is. That is Adrien Broner to me in a nutshell. His fan base talks about him that way. People, they're all the what ifs and the if onlys. And I'm telling you right now, the only time I saw Adrien Broner come out at his absolute best was maybe the DeMarco fight, right? But at the end of the day, I don't know what's going to happen with this Don King thing. I don't know much of his opponent, to be honest with you. I know he's a lawyer, a part-time lawyer, something like that. But, I mean, if they don't make money in this fight, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how much Don King's paying him. If he's going to pay him, we don't know. But if no money is made, Don King's going to look for some type of answer, right? He's going to cash him out in some way, make a deal with another promoter. If I am Adrien Broner, the one fight, there's one fight he can do. It's a winnable fight. There's two fights that are winnable fights and fights that would sell for him right now at 140 pounds, or they could work a deal with a catchweight above that. One of them is Blair Cobbs. He could fight Blair Cobbs. They could do that fight. It's not a world title fight, but it is what it is. Blair Cobbs can talk. I think Goldenboy would make that fight. They could do it on the zone or something. Don King would get on board because he would get a piece of the pie. That's one fight they could do. Another one, it's a long shot. I think it's Rolly Romero. Adrien Broner could beat Rolly Romero right now. Like, I would pick Adrien Broner right now to beat Rolly Romero because Rolly Romero sucks that bad. Okay? Those are two fights that I think he should aim for. Rolly Romero fight, I don't think he gets it, but he could do the Blair Cobbs fight.
Okay. Danny, are the bills piling up? Has the money run out? And is that why Adrien Broner is fighting right now, in your opinion?
Unfortunately, that's what it looks like. You've seen he's filed for bankruptcy when he had to pay some kind of fine, and he was saying, "I don't have no money. I had to borrow money off the money you saw me do the little money phone. That was my friend's money. I borrowed some cash. I have some nice friends. I have some very good friends. So yeah, I think the money's dried up. You got to remember, with these fighters, they're not paid every week like American football players or football players over on our in like team sports and stuff. They're paid fight to fight. And Adrien Broner's not in a position where he's got sponsorship deals going left and right, keeping him afloat, unfortunately. So when you're living that lifestyle and you've got dependencies, he's got a lot of children, he's got a lot of hangers on. I'm sure quite a few of them have left him now, but the money's drying up. He had that deal with BLK Prime. It went well for Terence Crawford. He got 10 mil out of it, but Adrien Broner's fights didn't come to fruition. So he's still inactive, still no check coming through the post, nothing entering into his bank account. Then he's had to go to Don King, who we know has a very nefarious reputation when it comes to fighters. The only fighter I know with any credence on his books right now is Trevor Bryant, but I don't even know if he's still there. The budget, you've seen these posters and promotions of Don King. It looks like some Pac-Man from 1992 the way it's like dum, 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 dum. It just looks so horrible. It's like, how can you even take this guy seriously? He's just not moved with the times. Those posters and promotion videos are from the 80s. Like, it's so terrible why he's not hired anybody. And it's a shame that Adrien Broner has succumbed to this. A good idea was from D-Style to try and get the Rolly fight, but I think he's just a sitting target where everyone wants to try and grab it. That's like the easiest world title belt you can get. But it would be good if the other players let Adrien Broner get him, because that way it will build up a good money fight for them to take out Adrien Broner, who is, well past his best now. He is like a lot of fighters. He reminds me, even myself. I'm a guy, when I used to box, I love to fight, but my dedication to actual diet and living the life. But I don't think it's a thing of that he doesn't like the training. It's about living the life. That's the discipline which a lot of fighters can't do, because they'll make the weight, they'll go through the training camp like James Toney, like Ricky Hatton, like Roberto Duran, but it's about living the life throughout, because that's where it takes its toll on your body in later fights in your career, where you have been partying, where you have been substance abusing, where you have been having late nights, where you have been performing with too many female friends, shall I say.
Messing with the honey dips.
Exactly, the honey dips and the honey buns. And I think that's caught up with him. So, yeah, I think he is fighting for the check rather than fighting for the passion. He will get through Hutchinson, but, yeah, he's done, really. And this is his last run. It'd be good to see him get a 140-pound title. But someone will grab it off of him pretty shortly and put him out his misery. But it'd be sad to see, because I'd like there to be some kind of thing set up to because I think when he's done with boxing, he's going to be someone you're going to have to keep a close eye on. But I don't think he's the most mentally stable person out there. So yeah, it's a shame, man. It's a very big shame.
It is. So what do you think, Mario? Is this going to be a one and done for Adrien, or is he going to dedicate himself back to the sport and he's going to make another title run?
I don't think they're I think they're mutually exclusive. Like, I think that I fully believe that Adrien Broner will have another fight after Friday. I am not fully confident that he's rededicated himself to the sport. Look, Adrien Broner, I love the two fights that D-Style mentioned, by the way. None of those happened because Broner's clearly looking for the biggest fights he can make. I think the reason this fight is happening is because of the debacle of BLK and the amount of opponent switches that happen. Like, he knows that if he's going to make this a venture, he's got to get in the ring. One of the fights I think that would work is Danny Garcia fight. I think that Danny Garcia is never going to be a full 154 guy. I think Broner is very happy to not have to lose as much weight as he'd have to make 140. And I think ultimately there's a rivalry there that stems back from, about a decade ago. Both guys kind of made their chops in Philly. It would be a good fight, I think, or it could be. That said, yeah, this is all for the money, guys. Like, look, I'm not going to just shit on the promotion. Instead, I'm going to offer Don King, if you're watching this, Don, call D-Style. I promise you, in 30 minutes, he can make better graphics than we've seen for this fight. Every aspect of it seems comical. Even the press conferences seem so outrageous and so out there. And all of this is because Broner is fantastic at self-promoting. But I just don't see a realistic path for him in boxing where he, A, gets to a point where people can believe that he's 50-50 with a top elite fighter again, and B, I don't think he stays dedicated enough to win a fight that would put him in that position anyway. So I think Friday isn't the last time we see Broner, but I think that we've long been past seeing Broner at the elite level.
Jeff, are you going to buy this pay-per-view on Saturday?
No. No, I'm not. I'm going to be in LA, so I won't be able to watch that event. Adrien Broner, I've always had a thing for those kind of fighters, like the Hector Camachos and the Madomero Paez's of the world. So I can turn off my critical analysis skills when I'm observing Adrien Broner. And you know, I definitely have a strong emotional attachment to the way he makes me feel, because when he came out with Rich Homie Quan, I was like, that's my guy. Gang, gang all day. The whole hood saw me beat that boy. I've always liked Adrien Broner, and I want to see him do well. Clearly, he's had some substance abuse problems and stuff in the past. He's only 33 years old, and it's mind-boggling. I saw him in a recent interview with Marcos Villegas from Fight Hub, and he seemed very clear, seemed focused. But like you mentioned at the beginning of the discussion on Adrien Broner, he looked like there was a spark missing in his eyes. Like he just didn't have that light anymore. Like, you know, and you ask that question, is he doing it for the money because he has no other option? He's with Don King. That answers that question. That's like an answer in and of itself. You messing with Don King, you're in dire straits. But I want to see AB shine, man, because that's just AB gang, and I hope he wins. I hope he beats Juris Doctorate Bill coming up this weekend, and at 140, because he doesn't necessarily have to be the most talented guy at 140. Adrien Broner, through thick and thin, his name still has drawing power. It still gets the chat rooms, and it gets the tweets buzzing. That's just AB. He just has that. I don't know how fate chooses the Rolly Romeros and the ABs of the world. It just chooses them. And AB is that guy that people watch. So if he gets this win over Bill Hutchinson, it could potentially open the doors. He mentioned Regis Prograis, which I really hope he doesn't do that, because Prograis will end it right there. But yeah, there's money in a fight against Ryan Garcia. There's money in a fight against, you know, Blair the Flair Cobbs. There's money in a fight against Rolly Romero if he can get past Bill Hutchinson because of his name value alone. I would love to see AB get one last win under his belt and ride off in the sunset, because I'm pretty sure he hasn't been very financially responsible with his ends. But yeah, I'm going with AB for the win in a decision. And man, if Bill Hutchinson pulls off the upset, that wouldn't shock me either. This is AB we're talking about. And some say he was gifted that win in his last fight against, what's that dude, Giovanni Santiago or whatever. Yeah, so, you know, gang, till the wheels fall off, y'all. AB, let's go.
You know, all I got to say is if you buy that pay-per-view, you are aiming for death. And therefore, life will begin.
That's crazy.
Yeah, 24.99 he's charging us over here in the UK.
Wow, that's crazy. So we spent a good part of the show talking about Oleksandr Usyk, and he's obviously one of the big four. But let's talk about the other three. We touched upon Fury. Wilder and Joshua seem to be headed for a clash in December. But Eddie Hearn is saying that he wants to get Anthony Joshua out on August 12th. And Dillian Whyte's name's been mentioned, but Dillian Whyte's been saying, hey, they never sent me a contract. Anthony Joshua is saying that, you know, he hasn't committed to anything either. So I'm just curious, is Anthony Joshua really going to fight in August, or is he going to wait till December, not risk it, and just wait for that big payday on December against Wilder? Is this fight with Dillian Whyte even going to happen, and should it happen? Should he wait for December? We'll start with you, Mario. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, absolutely. He should fight this fight. Look, I'm not going to pretend like this is a fight that every fan wants or anything like that, but you have to think about it in this kind of sense. Is AJ and Dillian Whyte a fight? Does it contain a narrative that casual fans can get behind? 100% yes. There is a 90-second reel that can be created from all the shit talking, all the social media posts, their previous fight, dating back to the amateurs. You can have stuff on these guys that shows a full promotion that somebody who's unfamiliar with these guys but likes box, or familiar with them but not enough, sees it and is like, I'm going to watch that fight, you know. And ultimately you're building towards the Wilder fight. It's the perfect scenario. Like, what are we going to say? We're going to say that AJ should fight Tyson Fury in August and then fight Wilder in December. Like, nobody else is going to do that ever. You know, Canelo's done it like once or twice, but nobody's going to do that. Like, that's a ridiculous ask. Of the two fights, what fight would you want to see more? AJ Tyson Fury or AJ Wilder? I promise you the majority, if not the vast majority of American fans say AJ Wilder. And on top of that, I'd even argue that most UK, or at least more than half of the UK fan base, would say Wilder AJ as well. So if we're building towards one of the biggest fights that can be made in boxing, which is still AJ Wilder after all this time, why not allow AJ the opportunity to get that fight in? And I don't want to say this like, and it come off weird, but Eddie's not going to not let him take that fight. It's a winnable fight that he can have, right? It's going to make money. It's going to sell to the casual audience, and it prepares him for Deontay Wilder or whoever it is in December. So ultimately, yeah, I think he should take the fight. I think it's a fight that it'll be fun while it lasts. There's nothing to hate on it unless AJ doesn't fight Wilder, Usyk, or Fury come December.
Okay. Well, D-Style, like I said, Joshua tweeted out and said that he hasn't heard of any talks with Whyte. He denies it. Eddie Hearn saying that they're working on it for August 12th. What's going on here, man? Who's telling the truth? And is this fight going to really happen? Does Joshua want to fight in August?
Man, like boxing, like days of our lives, like who's telling the truth? Stay tuned for the next episode. Like Jesus Christ, the twist and turn, they leave it with a cliffhanger. It's almost like it's all part of the plan, I don't know who to believe. What I know is this: the fight to make for me, like if I'm Anthony Joshua, why risk it against Whyte? Like for what? I would strongly favor Joshua in that fight. But why risk it? Like at this point, just go for it. Just go fight Wilder or go fight. Or I don't know how realistic a Fury fight is, but try to make that fight. And that's that. Because if what does he have to gain by beating a guy he's already beat? Like what? Like I get him. Okay, he can make money. It'll definitely be in the stadium. I get that, but he has everything to lose in terms of when we're talking about boxing. He loses to Dillian Whyte. If Dillian Whyte lands a hook from hell and knocks him out cold, there's nothing left. Like what do you do? How do you sell a fight at that point? You know what I mean? Like all I gotta say, all right, is just go for. I just want him to go for the Wilder fight. That's what I want. So it wouldn't shock me that they haven't really sent quite an offer, to be honest, because I don't know what is it. Maybe for Eddie Hearn, there's something to gain out of it, but there's nothing to gain. It's just everything to lose, nothing to gain in that fight.
Okay.
Real quick, I just want to add, I don't know if y'all saw it today, but it was reported because I know what you're talking about. AJ saying that he knew nothing about the fight. He even put out like a rap bar about it, right? But Eddie himself said today that an official offer had been made. So, I mean, take that for what it's worth. But it could have been a thing where, yeah, he hadn't heard anything because Eddie hadn't really made any waves towards it or offers towards it because he knew it was a fight that he could make. So, AJ could have been telling the truth, but then it could also be true that Eddie just started to actually get the ball rolling.
So I got to just say this, Jeff, and I want your opinion on this because I have a problem with these guys saying they're going to fight in August and then have that quick turnaround for December, especially Usyk. He's supposedly fighting August 26th. They pushed that back a couple weeks, right? So he's going to be going right into September after this fight, like a couple days. So, these guys are heavyweights. They're in there taking big shots, and then they're going to go turn around in like 3.5, 4 months, go right back into another fight. Is this smart for any of them? Not just Joshua, but is it smart for any of them to take this interim fight? And do you actually think that Joshua is going to go through with this August 12th fight with Dillian Whyte? Because they've had negotiations before in the past and they could never see eye to eye. Are they going to actually get it done this time?
Oh, I think, history has shown that it's preferable to fight more often if you can. If you can fight 4, 5, 6 times a year, ideally you want to do that because you want to stay in that mindset constantly in camp. It's been shown in the past with guys like Mike Tyson and Julio Cesar Chavez, and even further back, the Sugar Ray Robinsons and all those kind of guys. it's only recently, with the, television cable opportunities and network deals that fighters are only fighting once a year due to why, if you could make millions in one fight and chill out for the rest of the year, but then you don't get guys building up high public profiles and a lack of dearth in the pay-per-view attraction department. I think it'd be a great thing for them to stay more active than less active. Anthony Joshua, he just got under Derek James' guidance. We didn't get to see too much of it. It was very conservative in that last fight that he had against Franklin. And I think it'd be a good fight for him to catch a quick, nice paycheck against Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte is still a serviceable top 10 heavyweight, roughly. I don't think it's a super risky fight for AJ. I think AJ has always been levels above Dillian Whyte in the professional ranks. I think, if I recall correctly, Dillian Whyte beat him in the amateurs. But definitely, if you can stay busy, it's not, I think, unrealistic or dangerous, assuming that they don't catch a nasty beat down. Like, if you get beat viciously, then you kind of want to wait some months and let your body fully heal up. But even something like a flash knockout is less damaging than, say, getting beat down and grinded out. But AJ, I think those days of him biting his mouthpiece down and getting in the slugfest is long gone. At least it has been since the Andy Ruiz Jr. rematch. And I would have no problem with it. I think it's to their benefit to stay as active as possible. My man Mario said, Eddie made the offer, and I think he should go for it just to further cement what he's been learning out there in Texas with Derek James, if anything, and then hopefully that fight with the Arab money goes down in December. But I'm all for fighters fighting more often, and I really wish all of them fought more often, at least 3 to 4 times a year, if it was ideally under my control.
Got you. So, Danny, you're over there across the pond. What's the word on the street? Is this fight going to happen? And if it does happen, will this be a big fight over there? Will it sell a lot of pay-per-views? Will it be on pay-per-view? Will it be in a bigger stadium than the Franklin fight was in? Talk to me, brother.
The word on the street is that it is going to happen. The word on the street here is that offers have been made, and that it seems that both have kind of, in principle, agreed to the fight. Dillian Whyte, he hasn't got a dance partner going, so he wants to get out. AJ, it's good for him. The backstory, but it's the reason why they'll do it is this one apiece still, even though one is an amateur, one is a pro. They both dropped each other, put each other on the canvas once each in their winning victories each. So it's unsettled. So it's better to get it now rather than Dillian wait till the December fight where AJ could get knocked out against Wilder, and then what? Trying to sell it afterwards, it ain't really going to do it. So it's better to get it done now, and it'll probably go in somewhere like the O2 Arena, 20,000 seater. That'll sell out. Pay-per-view numbers should do very well because Dillian Whyte, even though his punch resistance has totally been shot now, he's still very serviceable in his game because he's done pay-per-views on his own. So yeah, the word is that the fight is happening in the summer, and I think it's not going to hurt them going out 4 months later because, as Mario said, it's better for fighters to keep more active.
I guess my only thing is this: you could sell a grudge match at any point. So if like both of them have lost by knockout already, so it's not, and they're still trying to sell it. So if AJ loses one more time by knockout, right? It's not like they still can make the fight. If anything, it's a perfect fight to make. They're both no longer fighting for world championships, and they can have a grudge match, and I think it would still sell. Whereas, if Whyte happens to beat AJ, where do any of them go? Like what is Whyte going to fight Fury again? No. Are they really going to put AJ in the ring with Wilder or Fury if he loses to Whyte? No. I think he should go for the big name first, and if you don't win that fight, then the Whyte fight could be a swan song for you. If you happen to lose, that's my personal opinion.
Well, they see this as like a tune-up in the general census is that this is a good segue fight for AJ. No one really sees it as a banana skin where Whyte's gonna gonna catch him and do him because White has deteriorated at a very big rate. And even when you're going by their last performances each against Jermaine Franklin, even when Jermaine Franklin landed on White, he shook his whole body up. And many thought that Franklin beat White, whereas AJ dominated Franklin, even though it wasn't the usual crash bang wallop AJ. He dominated on the cards 100%. So no one ain't seeing White getting no unless that's some lucky punch. Well, nothing is a lucky punch, but you know what I mean. Thrown with intention, but he's had a great what do you call it? Lucky charm shot.
I got you. So to my surprise, when I woke up yesterday morning, I found the news that Oscar Valdez is fighting Emanuel Navarrete, and it's going to be on August 12th. And I was very pleasantly surprised to hear that. I think on paper, this is probably the best fight at 130 pounds, man. I think it's a monster fight, man. I really do. And, Oscar Valdez coming off a pretty big victory in his last fight. But questions are still being asked about him. Jeff, what do you think of this fight? Is this the best fight that can be made at 130 right now?
Oh, hell yeah. By and far, in my opinion, as far as like something that will appeal to fans and possibly have good value after the fight happens. Oh yeah. Oscar Valdez, I haven't seen too many interviews from Navarrete. Number one, because he speaks Spanish and I'm Asian, but I have talked to Oscar Valdez personally, and I consider him somebody I know. His contact number is in my phone. And he'll tell you to himself that he grew up wanting nothing more than to have classic fights like Morales and Barrera. Those were his idols growing up. And that's what he wanted to do. That's his goal from the jump, is I want to be immortalized in those kind of fights. And if you saw his fight after he fought Scott Quigg, he's gassed up in the ambulance chair. Just, I gave you guys, my jaw's broke. I gave you one of those. He's one of those guys. And Navarrete, he's one of those guys who hit him hard. He bites down in his gum shield. And they're both, I think, 2 division champions, if I'm not mistaken, which is great. Because, I mean, when Morales and Barrera first started, they were both just bantamweights. Morales was on that tear. He beaten Junior Jones and all kind of people, and Barrera and they were kind of doing like that triangle, because Jones had the answer for Barrera, but Morales had the answer for Jones. And then finally we got to Barrera Morales and gave us one of the greatest boxing rivalries ever. And they're going to stand there, they're going to bang it out, and I have very, very high expectations of that fight. I think it's going to be a fun one, and potentially we might get to see like a Mexican trilogy if possible. But oh yeah, it's going to be a good fight. It's going to be a good fight.
Any possible fight of the year candidate here? What do you think?
I think so, because look at Navarrete in his last fight, where he got dropped, and then he came back, from getting off of the canvas. So yeah, very exciting fighter. We know Oscar Valdez, he's a very exciting fighter. Got knockout of the year versus Burchell. Obviously lost against Shakur Stevenson, but has come back the other week, and he looked good against a guy that he took out a few years back. I forgot the guy's name off the top of my head, but yeah. So yeah, commercial wise, these are like the 2 best brand names in the division, because yes, O'Shaquie Foster is a good fighter, but I don't think he has that public appeal, so it doesn't sell and get the same sort of market value as a Navarrete versus Oscar Valdez. So this is the top fight at 130, brand wise. There's Joe Cordino over here as well, but once again, he doesn't have that global appeal yet, like Navarrete and Oscar Valdez. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this fight. I saw the poster just yesterday, so yeah, I can't even pick a winner right now. You're gonna have to ask me closer to the time.
Okay. D-Star, you pumped up for this fight, man? This is the fight that a lot of people have been asking for at 130. I
love the fight. I think this is a great fight. I think it's a fight people wanted to see, and it's a good time to do it too. In order for Valdez to look good in the ring, he needs someone that's going to bring it, right? Like someone that's going to come fight. What does Navarrete do? He comes to fight. And for Valdez, the timing couldn't be better. Look, people are figuring out Navarrete. Like they're starting to figure it. Like every fight, he's struggling a little bit now. Like Joel Gonzalez gave him a very unexpected tough fight. Like people didn't see that coming. Right now, he clearly won the fight, but it was a tough fight for him. It was a tough outing. And Hoyt was blocking a lot of those punches with the high guard, and I think that's something that Valdez is going to be using in the fight with him. Wilson was landing some big shots on Valdez, even hurt him, right? So just doing basics, just sticking to the basics. You look at Valdez; he likes to set up big shots. All that, look, it looks great. It's exciting to watch, right? But all this like gliding in midair and throwing uppercuts with both feet off the canvas and throwing punches while you're gliding sideways against your opponent and leading with uppercuts and like I don't know, all that crazy shit that worked before that caught guys off guard, and it worked against Ruben Villa. He was kind of caught off guard, knocked down, and it took him a little bit to kind of adjust and figure out what the hell was going on, right? People are catching on to it. And the problem with unorthodox fighters is once people catch on to what you're doing, the unorthodox part of you is no longer an advantage, right? Because they're going to force you to box. They're going to force you to try to beat them with the fundamentals at that point. Because they're going to know your timing. They're going to get your rhythm. And I think people have figured out Navarrete, and I think I see Valdez landing a big shot and knocking him out, quite frankly. I think he's going to knock Navarrete out in this fight. I'm excited for the fight. I'm looking forward to it. And that's all I got to say for now. It's a great fight.
The way you were describing Navarrete, I thought you were talking about Ryu from Street Fighter. Remember those crazy punches?
Well, it's like you can't have look. You can't have both feet off the canvas over and over and get away with it forever in boxing. You just can't. Like it's at some point someone's gonna exploit it, bro. Like he might get caught. Don't be shocked if he gets caught with both feet off the canvas and he goes to sleep in this fight.
Gotcha. Mario, this is another banger, man.
Listen, I want to take the opportunity right now, because I'm so happy about this fight being made. I want to personally invite everybody on the panel and everybody in the chat. If you're going to find yourself in the Texas area, specifically Corpus Christi, Texas, everybody is welcome to come and watch the fight at my house.
Uh-oh.
Okay, well, technically it's my parents' house, but they have a huge house, so it's the only place we could do it. And I will be barbecuing. We're talking fajitas. We're talking chicken. We're talking
Tex-Mex
ribs.
Nah,
we're talking Spanish rice. We're talking my mom's award-winning pico de gallo, by the way.
Oh, please. That's great.
We're
Please tell
talking potato salad, obviously, beans,
Love it.
all the works. Okay. You don't have to bring a single thing except for the kind of beer that you drink. And yeah, and I am so excited, and I'll tell you why. I, in high school, grew up throwing fight parties since I was about 17. And I loved introducing new fight fans or fight fans that didn't have as much experience with Mexican versus Mexican, specifically the featherweights at that time. You know, Barrera Morales, you know, Morales, Barrera, all those fights were excellent. They are my favorite era in boxing to this day that I lived through. And these kinds of fights are just awesome. And everything D-Style said is true. And I don't debate any of it. The only point I'm trying to make, though, is that these kinds of fights, it doesn't matter. I don't care that, you know, these guys might not be the best. And everybody's right that said that this is the biggest fight commercially, 130. I think it settles who the top dog is. But look, you got Cordina there, you know, undefeated, great fighter. Foster, another great fighter. Even what's the kid's name that lost, the Dominican that lost to Tank?
Hector Garcia.
Thank you. Yes. Even him, he's a guy who honestly I think could give the top of the division a run for its money. So regardless of what we settle here in terms of, you know, who's the better fighter or who's closer to elite status at that point of the division or who stands a better chance moving up to 135, fighting one of those monsters and winning. Put all that to side and just know that you're going to see a great fucking match, a great fight that's going to be entertaining from bell to bell. And what Jeff said about Valdez, I've heard him say that in interviews, and these are like throwback guys. These are guys that, you know, were probably or definitely kids that lived through that era and know what Barrera, Morales, and even some of the American Hispanics, you know, like what was his Baby Bull from Houston,
Juan,
you know,
Juan
a lot
Diaz,
of
Juan Diaz.
a lot of these guys who didn't have the elite skill made their bread and butter and became as big as they were because they had that heart. They had the ability to market themselves as warriors. And so what we're going to see come that Saturday night is something that takes place in boxing that is very, very special and dear to my heart. And I want to share all that with everybody. So even though, you know, I know the vast majority of y'all, if not everyone here, is not even close to Corpus, the offer still stands. Come through. We're going to have an exciting time, I promise.
As long as it's not Tex-Mex.
No Tex-Mex. No Tex-Mex.
Please.
And I don't need to buy my beer. If I show up, you got to have a Dos Equis 12-pack.
Well, Dos Equis is what I drink, so that'll be there for sure. But I'm talking like if you're like some people like have like a weird Sam Adams or like the lime Modelo, like stuff like that.
Nobody likes that Boston beer. You know what I mean? Like,
dude, I know they bring it over. I'm like, that's not gonna pair well with my fucking dad's fajitas, but whatever.
I mean, truth be told, D-Style drinks any beer that's on this planet. Just so you know.
Oh yeah.
This guy will drink anything.
Yeah, I'll drink Natural Light if you have it. Fuck it. Yeah.
Hey, I've had plenty of Natural Light, so Milwaukee's best. You know, I'm not a snub. I'm not a beer snob at all.
What about Teofimo Lopez's Bud Lights?
I like Bud Light as a drink. I don't love Bud Light as a decision-making company. I think that yeah, it's okay. It's okay in a pinch. I'll say that. And I'd rather have that than Budweiser.
I've been telling people about Bud Light for years, bro. I'm just saying.
There you go.
And on that note, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Thank you on the panel. Thank you in the chat. Thank you everyone listening in at home. Till next time, we're out of here. Have a good night, everyone.
Peace.
Peace.